Well, good day, everybody, and welcome back to Notes from the Pastor Cave. I promised you when we finally we finally got started on all of this back in November, that I would occasionally show you some things from the Pastor Cave, and of course you can see some of the things. Some of these are fairly new, but I wanted to show you one thing that I'm particularly proud of because, in some ways I can be a little extravagant, and then in other ways I can be really cheap. And there's one thing that I just absolutely despise spending a lot of money on, and that is calendars. I need to have a calendar. I have, there's a calendar upstairs. There's a calendar here in the Pastor Cave. Yeah, I just, really need to have, calendar on the phone. But I was just so pleased because one of the things that's hanging in the Pastor Cave is my calendar for 2021. It only cost me $5, $5 for this great calendar. And yes, sirree, it's an official John Wayne calendar, and it's just got some great pictures. So I am just really happy this year. I wanted to show you before the look at that one. Yeah, I wanted to show you before the before February was out. I was going to show you all the way back in January, and I just kind of kept forgetting. There's a great shot of the Duke when he was older. So just that's one of the items here in the Pastor Cave. It actually hangs right above where the computer is here, where I'm videoing. So you would never see that because it would never be behind me. We are in chapter 5. We have been in chapter 5 of the book of Exodus, and let me just refresh you the story a little bit, because I want to go over something again in a little more detail, what I mentioned last time. So Moses and Aaron, they go to Pharaoh, and they say, "Look, we want to take a journey out into the wilderness so that we can make sacrifices to our God. We want to go serve our God out in the wilderness." And the response of Pharaoh to that is, "Nope." That's not going to happen. But his physical response to that is to make their lives even harder. And he says, look, up until now, the Egyptians have gathered the straw that's needed to make the bricks that you Israelites have to make in your slavery. Now we're not even going to do that. We're going to make you go get the straw. So you're going to have to supply the manpower now to get the straw too, to make the bricks, but you're still going to have to make the same number of bricks. Okay. And, one of the things that I mentioned last time was this idea of typology. And it's just that, some things or people stand as symbols for other things that are of a bigger picture. And one of the things that we see here with Pharaoh is that Pharaoh stands as a type of Satan. Now, I don't like to, as a preacher, as a pastor, I don't like to talk about Satan a lot. He's a punk, and I don't like to spend a lot of time dwelling on him. And actually, the scriptures do not spend a lot of time dwelling on Satan. But the scriptures also do not deny his existence. He's there. He's out there, and he is there. Jesus put it best. He's there to steal and to kill and to destroy. Those are the three things. He wants to steal everything from your life. He wants to kill you physically, and then he wants to destroy your soul. He wants to destroy your spirit. So he's very real. And so, and there are certain ways in which Satan, I've said this for many years, Satan is not a particularly creative being. God is the creator, and he is creative. And he gives his children, his creation, he gives his creation creativity. But Satan doesn't have the power to do that. He's not creative at all, and he kind of runs on the same modus operandi over and over and over again. He does the same things all the time, over and over. And this chapter 5 here is a great example of that. And I have a note in my Bible, and it talks about Satan's solution to your need to follow God. So the Israelites, Moses and Aaron as the representative, the Israelites have a need. They want to go worship God. Okay, they want to go and have this God worship event, this moment happen, and the Pharaoh's solution to that is to create more work in their lives. Okay, so my note says that Satan's solution to your need to follow God is to make your life harder. Okay, so when we have a need to follow God. We have a need to become what it is that God would have us to be. We have a need to surrender our lives to Christ. We have those innate spiritual needs. And Satan's solution to that is to create hassles in your life. It's to make you, put your nose to the grindstone of life even more, so that you'll forget about all that, wanting to go worship God stuff, right? And this is Pharaoh's idea. If he can make them sweat it out, then they'll forget about all this desire to go worship God, because they'll just be too exhausted to go and to do it. All right. So this is exactly what goes on in the life of the individual. It goes on in the lives of churches, groups of people who are believers in God, and then there's a cycle in which he wants you to enter into. So the first part of that cycle is to work to the point of exhaustion. So he wants you to work harder and to become more exhausted in your life. So all you want is to stop working. You don't want to be with God. You don't want to enjoy God. You don't want to enjoy God's Sabbath or any of those things. You just want the work to stop. Okay, and then the second part of that cycle is that when you actually do get some chance to rest, okay, the second part of that cycle is to make you feel guilty about the fact that you're resting. Okay, and trust me, I know what I'm talking about here. So you work, and you work to the point of exhaustion, then you stop working, and what's the first thing that comes along? You feel guilty that you're not working. And guilt is one of those things that simply acts as a wedge to drive us even further away from God. So exhaustion pulls us away from God. Guilt pulls us away from God. And that's, of course, the overall goal of the enemy of your soul, is to pull you away from God. Now, and don't get me wrong, and I've said this before, and I'll say it to my dying breath, okay? If you are a follower of God and you consider yourself a representative of Christ here on this earth, whatever it is that you do for a living, you need to work hard at it, because it's a huge part of your testimony. It's a huge part of your witness, your commitment. As a matter of fact, in the New Testament, we learned that it's not really your job. When you work hard and work well at your job, it's not really about your job. It's really about the fact that you're using your job as worship. You are worshiping God with your work ethic. Okay, so all of that is very important. However, God also never wants his people to just work to the point of dropping over dead. Okay, and that's we're much more guilty of that in our society. I know we got people listening all over the world. Here in America, we're much more guilty of working till we drop dead. So there has to be balance in our lives. Part of it is taking a Sabbath, and we'll maybe talk about that some other time down the road. But it is that cycle of overwork and guilt that keeps us from worshiping God. It keeps us from going and doing for God those things that He would have us do, like spending some time with Him and worshiping Him and loving Him. So don't get caught in the cycle that says, you just need to work even harder. You're working hard, and you're not seeing the fruit of that. Well, you just need to work even harder until you just kind of drop over. And then when you're half dead, then you'll feel guilty about not working more. Get rid of that out of your life. Get rid of that cycle out of your life. That is not from God. So that's the word for today. And as we always say, Vita brevis gloria aeterna. Life is short, glory is eternal. Hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Until we meet again, goodbye from Notes from the Pastor Cave.